Hey, it's Paul. Welcome back to B&B Talk. I need you to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to jump right into this episode. It's another somber one. We see Thorne, Eric, Brooke, and Ivy meet at the mansion. There are a lot of pictures of Allie around and, at the memorial, and things are pretty sad. And then we see Rich, Caroline, and Wyatt show up. And then we see Thomas, and it's a brand new Thomas, tall, dark hair, just like the other one. And he's asked, if he's talked to Steffy and how she's doing. And he said he doesn't have any of the details, but he said that Steffy seemed upset. Then we see Bill, Katie, Deacon, and Quinn arrive. And Deacon sort of promotes a little bit of peace between the four of them as they don't really get along, and they all agree to it. And then we see Oliver consoled by Pam and Charlie. We see Ridge, and he tells Caroline that it's got to be tough on Thorne losing a wife and a child, and he says, that would be too much for anyone. We see Liam then meet Steffy over at Forster Creations, and she's still a wreck, and he consoles her. Now Brooke and Eric eventually find Thorne in Allie's room, and he's breaking down. He can't even hold it together, and they do a great job of consoling him. After that, we see pretty much the entire cast in attendance for the memorial ceremony, and there's, we see a montage of people coming up and saying words about Allie, and then we see a montage of Allie in better times, laughing and interacting with Oliver and Ivy and pretty much everyone else that she came into contact with. We get to see glimpses of that. And we do see Thorne get up to talk about his little girl, and he breaks down, and the last thing he says is, I love you, honey, and he touches her picture, and it's a huge tearjerker. But after that, it gets weird. Ridge gets up and he gives everybody a lecture about judging people, and in fact he's upset that everyone missed the symptoms of Allie. He said Allie's heart was drowning in darkness and nobody saw the signs. And then at that point, Eric and Thorne rightfully ask him to stop because they say it's not the right time for this. And it just comes off as really weird, but you can see that something is rattling Ridge, and that's what caused him to, say what he said. And then we see Caroline, she's talking to Thomas, and she asks him, if he has plans of sticking around, and Thomas says that, because his sister's not doing too well, he's thinking that he might stick around. So we know that Thomas is going to be on the show as a regular. And then we see Thorne, and he is pretty fired up because he attacks Ridge for going after Allie's memory, and he says, this was all an accident, and then he stops and he says, or was it? So we know there's a lot more to come with that, and we see that things aren't going to be calm between Thorne and Ridge, as they usually are pretty edgy between the two of them. And then the last thing we see Ivy, and she sees Steffy. Steffy's about to leave, but she stops and she's looking at the table that's got all the pictures of Allie, and she sort of confronts her, and first she asks her how she held it together with all the stuff that went on, and then she says to her that I guess you got to deal with the consequences. And the last thing that Ivy says to her is she says that Allie's death wasn't an accident, and you know it. And that's where we leave things off. So things are going to get explosive. There's no two ways about it. But anyways, that's all she wrote for this episode, folks. I want to thank you for checking out B&B Talk. It's Paul. Thanks, and have a good day. And don't forget to follow us on social media.